Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Why in the Morning,
Where we talk entrepreneurship and finance with ultimate risk takers and game changers.
Give you insightful career advice.
Discuss women making an impact in the society.
As well as issues affecting men.
Health matters affecting the youth
and politics.
technology.
Not forgetting music and lifestyle.
And getting up close and personal with your favorite stars.
So make sure umetrosanyika na sisi.
Usanyika.
Shenye amesema.
Every weekday morning.
From 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Hashtag Why in the Morning.
Hosa tekenywe.
Y254. Imagine.
A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for sticking to Y254 TV. I hope you've had a lovely day and a better week than we've had for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So last week we unfortunately could not do a live production because of issues that were happening around the city. And today we've come to you live because we have a very interesting conversation that I believe is relevant to every single person, particularly the Kenyan youth who are talking about getting more opportunities, opening up jobs, and getting platforms for them to express themselves and even just pursue their goals, their dreams, their ambitions. So today we are talking about something interesting. It's related to jobs and the career space. So we want to understand what new careers are coming up, what are the things that we should look forward to in the next few years. Maybe if you're studying something, it can help you understand what course to pick and how to select something that's still going to be relevant in the next few years, because we have seen changes in multiple industries, and that is because of technology. And now today I'm on set with a very interesting person. We have Xavier here with us, who is a CEO and a data scientist. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
Nice to be part of this show, Cheryl.
It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're hoping all of you are going to find this conversation interesting because I'm personally looking forward to it. I want to engage with you as we proceed with this conversation. You can go on our platforms at Y254 and share some of your thoughts. We are on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Instagram, across all the social platforms. Let us know some of your thoughts on this conversation. Share with us maybe what careers you're pursuing actively, what you think is going to be relevant in the next few years, and how you think technology has really helped or taken away from different careers, because right now we're seeing so many rapid changes. And on that note, I want to go through some interesting facts that we came across as we were preparing for this show. I just want to let you know what Business Insider Africa did a report on. They did a report earlier this year, and they were just releasing some list of jobs that they think are going to be most lucrative and have been for the past 2 or 3 years. So the first job that was announced by the Business Insider Africa, the article was done on the 19th of March of this year. The first one is software development, with people earning as much as $107,000. And the second job, the second career that they believe is very lucrative is data analytics, which is earning about $40,000 to $50,000 in Africa. And when you go to other countries that are more developed, like America, it's $65,000 at least per year. We have full stack developers coming at number 3, and the annual pay is expected, this is globally, it's anticipated to be between $113,000 to $250,000 annually. Then we have management consultants, that's in terms of people who help run the company companies, and they have different positions. We have the CEOs, the CFOs, the chief marketing officers, and the chief technology officers, who are earning between $100 to $150, going up to $200,000 yearly. And at number 5, we have IT consultants who are earning between 40 to 50,000 in Africa. That is per year. And these are statistics that were released earlier this year. It's based on research that has been done for the past few years, because there's been a shift in career, particularly after COVID struck. And Xavier, you're especially in the data scientist, you're in the data science field. So can you talk to us first about how you got into it? What did you study in school? How did you get into what you're doing now?
Okay, thank you. So I studied actuarial science at my undergraduate level. But when I was studying actuarial science, and I wanted also to gain other kind of skills. And during that time, data science was not well known, especially in Africa. So we were just doing some kind of softwares, analyzing data, because whatever I studied is somehow related to data science, but not exactly. So along the way, now when I graduated, that's when I knew that basically I will not be proceeding with the actuarial side, because the actuarial side I was supposed to proceed and do some professional papers, and I wanted something very tangible. Like I think I can say that it was when I realized what I was passionate about and what I need to do as a person. Yeah.
And that's fascinating, because you've talked about pursuing actuarial science first, and then you found your passion along the way.
Yes.
And I think that's the case for most people. They'll either study nursing, education, or even communication, and then get into something completely different.
Yeah.
So why did you feel like what you did not appeal to you? It wasn't relevant to you. It wasn't something you were passionate about.
Okay, I can say that the way I knew myself is that I like something practical and tangible. And I like something that I can do based on facts, like using data to make decisions. Okay, the actuarial side of it as well, they use basically data to make decisions, actuaries as well. But I felt that the transition, the transition to data science was so easy for me. So I did not struggle so much, and I was really enjoying doing it. And also I was looking at the fact that because I used to do a lot of research where the world is going, and I found out that due to the 4th Industrial Revolution, whereby a lot of people have access to smartphones, they can access social media, a lot of information is being shared. So I saw that there is an opportunity whereby now businesses and organizations will be leveraging data for decision making. And that's how I found myself now sticking to this career to date.
And that's fascinating, because you've talked about like finding yourself through the journey.
Yes.
It did come naturally.
Yes.
You didn't just wake up, finish high school, and then know exactly what you were meant to do.
Yes.
So what would you tell someone who did that? Because funny enough, I was just sharing with Xavier, I did actuarial science. Okay. I lasted for 1 week. And then I quickly shifted gears.
Yeah.
But it's because I was uncertain about what to do. You have, I think when you finish school, you have an idea of what you want to do, and then afterwards you come to the real world and you realize it's so different. It's not as easy as the way we maybe romanticized it in our minds.
Yeah.
So what is that journey? What would you advise someone who's probably started something and they're even uncertain? Say maybe wako third year, na hawako sure if this is something that they want to do. What would you advise someone like that?
So I'll advise someone to follow his or her passion, because if you are passionate about something, you have the energy to keep on moving despite the challenges. So you see what normal happens when we look at our perhaps education system. I think there's a perception, a traditional perception, that because someone scored this grade, you need to go to this to do this specific course. That is not the case. So what I can advise someone who perhaps wants to transition, still it is possible, because nowadays we have a lot of online learning platforms that you can easily learn these new skills and be able to achieve whatever you need. So you need just to discover yourself, what you like, what does not stress you, because there's no need to do something that you don't see any kind of value at the end of the day. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And let's just make it clear. You spend lots of money, because university is expensive, especially in Kenya.
Yeah.
So you spend all this money doing this, and eventually you know you're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
So passion is important.
Yes, passion is very important. Yeah.
And you've also talked about something interesting in your previous statement. You talked about doing research.
Yeah.
Once you realize there's the fourth revolution coming up and people are moving towards the tech space, you shifted gears.
Yes.
So you have to do your research.
Exactly. Because what is happening is that the world, the last, I can say, 5 years have been very dramatic, in quotes, if I can say. There's a lot of shift that has been happening. We have some careers that like some kind of careers that involve repetitive tasks that artificial intelligence is coming to replace. We also, when COVID-19 came as well, you see that there was a shift. People are working from home. Like now, organizations are as well are adapting a hybrid working model. So what is happening when you do your research also, you need to position yourself to where the world is going. For instance, the career that I'm practicing, in Africa, we have the issue of unemployment rate, which is very high. But you see, the career that I'm pursuing currently, I can work anywhere remotely for any company. So you see, also you position yourself in a way that despite the passion, you position yourself where we have the opportunities. Yeah.
So you're in a, you see that marketability aspect.
Yes, exactly.
That's important.
Yeah,
you shouldn't just focus on Kenya, Nairobi.
Yeah.
Look at, can I work in Uganda? Can I work in South Africa? Can I work in Nigeria?
Exactly.
So that adds value.
Yeah. So what is happening, you see nowadays the world has become a global village. And what is happening as well, you find that those countries outside Africa deem Africa to be where you have a lot of young people. There's a lot of talent which is affordable to them. Because, okay, when they pay us in dollars, we see it is a lot of money in this side. But when you go there, you find that perhaps it is just peanuts for them. So there's a lot of shifts at talent search in Africa, especially with regards to technology-driven kind of careers. Yeah, so that is what basically is happening. So you need to position yourself as a global citizen. Yeah.
And from what you're saying, we've also just read the statistics.
Yes.
Most of the jobs, basically 4 out of 5 of the top 5 are IT related. They're very technologically wired. But let's talk about traditional jobs that are still very much relevant. But then the youth are moving away from it because the stereotypes that we have. Something like farming, something like the Juakali industry. These are things that someone was even telling me about electricians. We were talking about it, and electricians will still be relevant 20, 30 years from now because you need someone to physically do it. Why do you think there's that shift away from these traditional jobs that are still very relevant, even with the technological advancements and things like that? Why do you think the youth are moving away from that?
You see now, what is happening with the young people, especially nowadays due to access in terms of technology, and they are trying to shift to what they like doing. And there's still a perception that these traditional jobs are some kind of people called dirty. They are not looking at the money aspect or the value that you are getting if you dedicate so much time doing some of those traditional jobs. So that's why you see that the youths are trying also. this generational change and diversity are some of the aspects. And also what is happening like during career guidance, even when parents are talking to their kids, those are not the areas that we have a lot of focus. So what I can say is that there's inadequate, like lack of awareness on the value that you can still get from these traditional jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I was reading an article, someone shared it with me, about a palm tapper. Those people in Coast who go up on the palm trees and then they tap the palm oil from it. And the article said this gentleman earns about 2,000 daily from doing that. And it's a job that he probably does for less than 5 hours total. So that the technical jobs, these jobs that probably have been phased out by time, because we you know, there's a focus on the white collar and versus blue collar. People want to get into white collar jobs. People want to get into the creative industry, but they neglect these other technical jobs. And you've said clearly it's because people are not looking at the money aspect. They're not seeing that the value they'll get is greater than perhaps the white collar jobs. But why do you think that is? You've just mentioned that sometimes we glorify white collar jobs even from the parents and all that. Why do you think we have accepted that white collar jobs, corporate jobs are where we need to be versus doing something like farming for onions, vegetables, things like that?
Yeah, so I believe like we have the issue of flexibility. And I want to go back to my initial statement, like when you look at Kenya, Africa, like, and you look at the population, a very huge proportion is made up of young people. And most of the young people like jobs that there's such kind of flexibility. Perhaps they assume that traditional jobs you need to be there, or like when you are a farmer, you need to be in the farm from the morning up to evening. That's why now people want something that at least they are flexible in terms of doing it. As well, you see, there's still some kind of stereotypes, if I can say. Like, if today I'm a young person and I completed my undergraduate, I'm a graduate and going back doing some kind of farming, people perceive it as if you are a failure. So there's also some kind of society pressure that the young people are facing. But I believe the bottom line here is just some kind of education, awareness, so that we have some kind of shift in terms of our thinking as a young people.
Yeah. There needs to be some shift.
Yes,
because
exactly.
we need to realize that you know, the way you're saying, the stereotyping of people who do the technical jobs, it needs to be changed. Because we can go to these guys who do Jua Kali and they probably make 5,000 daily. And when you add up that in a week, it's a good amount of money. And most of them are self-employed. Most of them are just there as entrepreneurs. So how can we shift that? Because you've talked about unemployment being a real issue, and it's so real. So many people, especially the Kenyan youth, are dealing with that. People are complaining because they've graduated, people have papers, but they're tarmacking, looking for corporate jobs. So how can we shift that in a way that someone can realize, maybe I'm an engineer and I can maybe go look for a contractor and see if I can get a job at the Mjengo, something like that. How can we shift that so that we open our worldview? Yeah, so I believe that the shift in mindset, especially of our young people, needs like some kind of a wider scope in terms of approach. And this one first will come from both from the education system, how we frame it, and some kind of awareness that you need to diversify. It is not that if I studied actuarial science, I must end up as an actuary. So there's need to create awareness, to tell these young people, my fellow young people, the realities about life. As well also the parents at home, because sometimes you find out that there's a lot of pressure even from the parents that because I was a teacher, because I was a doctor, you must be a doctor. So
there's also when you look at the government policy, what the government is doing, even the government needs to come up with programs that at least assist the youth to think outside the status quo, like the normal, that is, given that you have gone through the education system, you must end up pursuing that profession. Lastly, I can say also that perhaps we need also to create, the government and the private sector needs to come up with some kind of funding so that at least it motivates young people to go. Like if you want to do some kind of projects, you can access some kind of affordable financing that can support whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Because that will encourage more people
exactly,
to do it.
Yeah.
And I like that you've brought the fact about the education system, because that's very important.
Yes.
And I think growing up, personally, I studied 9, 11 subjects. That right now, most of them, I'm not even applying. Most of them are very irrelevant to me. I just have the information. And we've seen a shift in our education system. Right now we have the CBC system that encourages this technical skills, creativity. And I've noticed even kids up country, you'll see someone has made a guitar. Someone has made these toy cars that you can actually sit in and drive using some wood and tires. So it's, for the kids, it's working. But the youth, the adults who actively, you've been pursuing this career because you studied it, because of the parents. A lot of pressure comes from the parents, and that's something I think we can all just admit.
Exactly.
You've studied one thing because your parents said you need to do that. Now you're actively pursuing that, you're practicing whatever you studied, but you're not happy. You're not passionate. And I think that's the reality for so many people. They study something, they're not happy with it, they're doing the job, but they're not happy. They go home because, you know, it's just a paycheck thing. They're just like zombies in the system. How do we shift that? Someone who's, particularly when we talk to the youth, because I've met so many people who are not happy with their jobs. How can you wake up and tell this person, just do something? Make a shift? Is it something that you should do spontaneously, ama ni gradually unalearn kwanza skills ndo you shift? How should you do that?
So I think to respond to that, also it depends as a person, also the family background. Sometimes, let us say you are firstborn in your family. Firstborns always have a lot of pressure. And perhaps maybe your parents sold even some kind of land to take you to school. So there's a lot of pressure that you must get this job so that you are able to support the family and all that. So this shift, it should be gradual. Like it depends. Like myself, for instance, yes, I'm in the formal kind of employment. Before I became an entrepreneur and founded African Center for Data Science, I was employed elsewhere. So during that shift, you see many, like, you find a lot of people telling you, why are you leaving employment? You go to entrepreneurship, which is so uncertain. But what I can say is that it depends with, like, knowing yourself, what you want to achieve. Because when you know yourself and what you want to achieve, no matter any kind of negativities, you are able to shift even from your normal employment and go to agriculture or any other kind of work, and you make it. So the shift should be a bit gradual as well, because at the end of the day, okay, if you have something that you do to support you as well, you do it, but you should not, that one should not prevent you from doing something else. Because what is happening, like according to the World Economic Forum report, the 2022 statistics, they are saying now this, that when you study a certain skill, within 2.5 to 5 years, you need to reskill again. So you see now that tells us that we need to diversify. Apart from being a data scientist, I need to practice agriculture, I need to do other things so that I diversify my income sources and even create employment for other people.
And that's something that I totally agree with
Yes.
because we see it presently. You're not just required. You know, in the past, you could be a writer and that's the entire thing.
Yeah.
Right now, you're required to be a writer, videographer, content, all these things.
Yeah.
You're doing 5 jobs as one individual. So you need to up your skills
Yes.
ever so often. And you've talked about something that's important. You do it gradually.
Yeah.
Because most people, especially the youth, the Gen Zs, they don't like... I've realized we don't have the patience
Yes.
to wait for 5-10 years.
Yeah.
I want my 20 million now
Yeah, which is
with
not
my
possible.
basic skills, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And people don't want to diversify the way you're saying.
Yes.
And sometimes there's a tendency, because of the job security, because you're receiving salary that is constant at the
Yeah.
end of the month, people stick to doing something. And the way you've said, people ask you, why would you leave this? People will ask you that, knowing that they'd also like to leave.
Yes.
But there's no plan B for them to leave.
Yeah.
Because of the job security, they tend to stick there. How do we plan that? Like the gradual, you kutoka, did you, for you personally,
Yeah.
because you were employed and then you opened your company.
Yeah.
How long did that take for you to decide, I want to do this, to set up the foundation so that when you leave, you know that you have security in this job as well?
Yeah, so this one, I really planned early. When I was employed elsewhere, the company was already running, but as part-time job. It was not a full-time job. And the way I planned this is that, as you have just said, that you just need some kind of diversification. So yes, I had income from my full-time job, but also this one was bringing some kind of revenue. And what I knew is that to run a company, you need capacity. And to need capacity, it means that you need some kind of mentorship. So I was privileged to work with some of the top entrepreneurs who guided me along the way. Then after like 4 years in employment now, I moved to run this company, set up, and now we are a big team, of course. So you need just to plan yourself to ensure that also in terms of finances, you don't leave the other employment, then you find yourself struggling and frustrated. Mm. But above all is that when you make that decision, you need to have the patience, as you have talked about, which a lot of young people lack patience. You need, because even if you go to entrepreneurship, for instance, the space that I am in, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes you can go without even a salary. Business can take up to even 4, 3, 5 years before you start seeing some kind of money coming. Yeah. Mm.
And I think it reminded me of something I came across.
Yeah.
That when you're an entrepreneur, you've paid your vendors, you've made your sales, you've paid everyone else, but then you don't have salary.
Exactly.
You're the one who's just managing everything else.
Yeah.
And that's a reality for
Yes.
most entrepreneurs, because it's about running the business.
Yes.
But then it takes us back to, it requires your passion.
Yeah, passion and patience.
And you've brought about mentorship. Most people don't want to be mentored. Oh, kila mtu, you know, these days we're like, me sinajua, I'll Google, I'll go on YouTube and be taught by some random person who made a video.
Yeah.
But for you, mentorship was very, very important.
Yeah, very, very important. So the main reason why it was very, very important, my first job, for instance, it was a large corporate organization. Then second job, I went to a startup, and I found a very, very good CEO. Whenever she was going to any high-level meeting, like I was there with her, so I was able to learn a lot of skills in terms of pitching, communication skills, how do you sell your products as an individual. After that, again, I went to another organization, again a startup. You see, when you are working in a startup, you get an opportunity to meet high-level kind of personnel in the organization. Then as well there, I learned a lot of skills, a lot of mentorship, because they were very, very patient with us. So I believe that the aspect of mentorship is very critical and crucial for young people. And what I will advise my fellow young people is that they should be ready to be mentored by someone. you need someone to hold your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're only things that you can learn through experience.
Exactly.
And so many times that's the case, especially for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want us to take a very short break, and then when we come back, we can talk about the aspect of mental health, because sometimes it takes a toll on your mental health.
Yeah.
And we can get more into what the African Center for Data Scientists, for Data Science and Analytics is. So stay tuned for that. Remember to go on our platforms at Y254. Tell us what you think about this conversation. Share with us some of your thoughts, what you feel like the future is for most careers. So stay tuned to Y254 TV. This is the Power Talk Show.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome to the vibrant world of Kenyan music, and get ready for an extraordinary musical journey like no other. With me, Eve.
This is your favorite DJ, DJ Hariso, as they call me, the Fiesta King.
From the pioneers and the legends to the new artists,
Black chocolate ni fine melanin bana kutoka nikapate.
tunakuletea wasanii wote papa hapa.
Napenda kuzitoka.
Not only that, right here on the East Circuit, we highlight trending content creators, plug you with some funny memes, play some fun games, and so much more.
Under the influence.
Join us to celebrate the vibe of Kenyan music on the East Circuit.
Each and every Saturday from 9 a.m. Only on Y254.
Welcome to a place where words come alive, emotions unfold, and the magic of poetry takes center stage.
Walk with me.
Yesterday I tripped over my self-esteem. I landed on my pride and it shattered like an iPhone with a broken face. Now I can't even tell who's trying to give me a compliment.
Nilichokosa nilidhani ni uhuru, kumbe nilijawa ukalulu.
So dear God, mimi nataka kuwa used by you because I believe nikiwa used na binadamu nitatokwa na nitangazwe.
Jemas kwa wali yenye kila line ni jani na kila stanza ni revelation.
Tuko weak hadi mahali kuna jina nguvu ni kwa national anthem pekee.
It is spoken.
It's art, it's culture, it's fun, it's attitude. We sample some of the best artistic works locally and beyond our borders. Oh, and don't get me started on the cultural events. Music, dance, fine arts, culinary arts, and much, much more. You name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki. Please join me each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Y254 channel.
Y254. Imagine.
Thank you so much for sticking to Y254 TV. My name is Cheryl Blessing and you are watching The Power Talk Show. Before we took our very short break, we were having a conversation on career changes and navigating the scene because we've noticed a shift in the past few years. And joining me live on set is Xavier Aluku, who is the CEO of African Center for Data Science and Analytics. So you were just giving us some very interesting insights on how you need to find your passion, you need to take your time before you make a shift, but you need to be informed And upskilling. We've talked about the value of upskilling. You need to constantly learn something new. We've really noticed that in the past few years. They ask, when you're going for interviews, they ask how many skills do you have? Can you handle different tasks? So we've just said, in this day and era, it's so easy for you to get short courses online. You can learn on YouTube. Even the TikTok videos, they're very short and brief. But now let's really emphasize on the value of that, especially for you. You're in the tech space, and you've said you need to think about something more that you can do. And already as a CEO, someone will assume, Su Shafika, uko sawa. But what is the value of you learning new skills and for people to learn new skills so that they still remain relevant?
Okay, so the value of learning, of course, is for you to ensure that you are at abreast of what is happening globally. Because as I said that initially, the fourth industrial revolution is doing a lot of wonders. For instance, currently there has been stories, not even stories, but reality about what called generative artificial intelligence, that today, if you are working in a customer service department, an AI a tool or platform can be able to answer questions to customer queries, the same thing that a human being does. So you see that now subjects you to ensure that you need to continue learning because technology keeps on evolving on a daily basis. So unless you go and take these short courses, because the beauty about lifelong learning is that it is easy to shift. Even a 10 minutes YouTube video online platform course is able to assist you to shift quickly to and acquire a new skill. So the main thing that is happening currently is because of that technology change. Every day we go to sleep, wake up, there's a new thing.
Something different.
Yeah, something different, especially for us who are in technology. Like when I was doing data science and artificial intelligence, there was nothing like generative artificial intelligence. It is something that came around 2018, 2022 there. But in Kenya, from last year, about September, is when people started talking about ChatGPT and all those. You see now, it means I have to go back to class to ensure that I have these skills. That ensures that you are not being replaced by technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because the reality is these days, AIs can do almost anything. So I came across an AI that can actually make a song.
Yes.
The entire song with the beats and everything, and it even gives you options. And all you need to do is key in just a few prompts.
Yeah, prompts, yeah.
And so many people are experiencing that.
Yeah.
So we are expecting that some jobs will be irrelevant in the next few years. And that's why we are having this conversation, because it's better for us to be aware now and make the shift now before it overtakes us and time has lapsed.
Yeah.
But let's talk about people who've been in the same industry, because now we've focused on the youth. It's very easy for someone who's young to learn new skills and shift. Let's talk about someone who's held the same career for 30 years. All they know is probably bookkeeping. And they don't have any other skills. They haven't maybe felt the need to learn other skills. And right now they become irrelevant. How can we tell these people, especially the older generation, how can we advise them to become more maybe adaptive, maybe accepting of the times and learning the skills? Because it's easy to tell a young person you need to learn new skills. But how do we tell our parents that unajua hii job in 5 years inaweza kosa kukua relevant?
Yeah, so when you look at these digital skills, the level, we have the beginner levels, intermediate and advanced, and we have what the older generation as well can easily be able to learn and use, especially when you are talking, for instance, you are talking about the generative artificial intelligence that is able to compose a song, an email. Those are very easy skills to learn. So what is happening about this technology and what you can tell our parents is that those who are going to take advantage of the technology are the ones that are going to replace the ones that are a bit reluctant. It is because it is not the technology that is going to replace anyone's job. it will never happen. It is the people who are taking the initiative. So what I advise them from a point of experience, because this is what you are doing, and we have seen some of them, that they should not fear taking an initiative to learn these digital skills. They can start with what is easy first before now they advance. Yeah.
Because I think technology is everywhere now.
Yeah.
In the agriculture space, it's there.
Yeah.
When you go to communication, it's there. When you go to medicine, it's there. We can't avoid it.
Yes.
Now, when we go back to the people that, because of the job security, they stick doing what they've maybe been taught, maybe the one job that they've gotten, because of job security, because people are saying there's unemployment, it's very hard to get something different. And it's taking a toll on their mental health. Yeah. People are depressed, people are dealing with anxiety, they're mad, and sometimes they even project on other people. Yeah. What would you say about that? Because last month was the Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but I think this is something that should be progressive. Yes. How can we prioritize our mental health even if we are working? Perhaps if you're forced to, because the way we're saying you can leave a job gradually, while you are still doing that and figuring out what you want to do next. How can you prioritize your mental health?
So the issue of mental health is an issue that each and every person needs to prioritize, because the moment you find yourself into that, I think it is normally very difficult. So as a person, you should have what called the work-life balance. You should be able to know that at this time I'm supposed to do this. I'm also a social being. Perhaps I need to be here, so that you are able to ensure that you reduce the amount of pressure that might lead you to some kind of mental health cases. And as well as perhaps I can even talk about, because most of the pressure comes from, one is the society pressure, then also we have pressure that comes from work. Like you need as a person to be able to manage expectations. When you manage an expectation, your expectations, what it means that you are able to accept the reality and perhaps do something different. But if you fail in managing your expectation, then you start getting a lot of anxiety and all that. So when going to employers, of course, the industries as well are a bit different that you are working. We should allow some kind of flexibility in terms of work. When you are in management, it is good to have one-on-one, perhaps conversations with your employees to ensure that real issues are being addressed before perhaps it becomes worse. Yeah.
Because there's a need to prioritize mental health, because it affects productivity.
Exactly.
If people are stressed at the office, the output is less, or the quality isn't as good.
Yeah.
Let's circle to the finance aspect.
Yes.
Because so many people perhaps have the skills.
Yeah.
They can do multiple jobs. They're very adaptable. They can change very easily, and they add a lot of value to companies.
Yes.
But when it comes to the payment, some companies tend to underpay, particularly the youth.
Yeah.
They assume you guys are desperate. You need this job. How can we negotiate our salary? Because if you know the value you bring, how can you negotiate your salary such that even if you're doing this, you're happy, you're content with the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so the issue of underpayment comes because of that perhaps pressure and the desperation. It comes out of desperation that I'm desperate, I should get this job. It is either I get it or I'm doomed.
Yeah.
So as you have said that as a young person, you need to know your value, what you are bringing. Let me give you an example myself. Like even, yes, I'm a CEO, but when I was working in other organizations as well, I got opportunity to interview people. And as a CEO also, what I advise, what I can tell young people is that, you see, you can say, yes, you have value as a person, but the moment you quote a very low pay, that tells me that perhaps you are deceiving me. Because if I know my value, I must tell you that this is what I think that as a person, I should be paid for this job. And this is a kind of value that I'm going to bring to this company. So that again leads us to what we call negotiation skills, whereby yes, you might be desperate, I need this job, but you should not be able, because companies will as well take advantage. And what I realize that most companies, once you accept that low pay, of course they have a budget, there's always a budget, but when you accept that low pay, it is very difficult sometimes for you to get a salary increment. So I can tell my fellow young people that when you need to know your value, you need to, yes, you might lose it, but it is better you negotiate based on the skills, because also we look at and say, truly this person, the way he's negotiating, he knows what he wants. And also negotiation skills is what everyone is looking in a business. Perhaps you have very good negotiation skills, and I was employing you perhaps as a customer service person. I take you now to sales or budgeting department. So it is not about salary alone. We also look at other things, beyond the salary.
So it's a skill that we need.
Yes, it's a skill that every employer needs.
And would you advise, because I've had this before, in case you're undervalued in one place, you shift companies. Would you advise people to shift companies, because then you have chances of getting pay increases and things like that, the benefits?
So, if you are undervalued and there's an opportunity, there's no any harm when you shift. But perhaps also you should look at your what you call career progression, because perhaps you come at AfriCDS, say you work as a data scientist for 1 year, you move to another company 1 year, you won't develop as well as a person. But as well, I think for that now, I can say that an individual should look at the long term. Long term, what do you need to achieve? Yes, you might be starting your career as a person. Like myself, I worked in a startup. Sometimes startups don't pay a lot of money, but I knew what I wanted at the end of the day. So sometimes you might be running that you need money earlier, but in terms of experience and that you gain along the way, it becomes less. Like the kind of experience you bring in the table, like you cannot do, if you look at your career track, you cannot confidently say that as a person, I'm confident that I can do this task. So you should, it's a two-way.
You really have to self-evaluate and look at where you're going. And I think that's a very hard pill to swallow for most young people.
Of course, people will go for money.
People want money. And I think the reality is, I think there's a need to look at where you want to be. Because it's easier for you to scale yourself when you're young, as opposed to when you get older. Then you have responsibilities that require you to maybe have some stability in your career. Now let's get into African Center for Data Science and Analytics. First, I'd like you to probably explain what is a data scientist, because I know there's someone who's watching. Maybe they've been hearing this word, but they really don't understand what a data scientist does.
So what a data scientist, like from even the word data, like you are trying to make decisions using data. However, when you are talking about data scientists, what they do, they handle various kinds of data. Like nowadays, we share a lot of information perhaps on social media. Yes, we might be sharing this information as a form of entertainment, but some businesses and organizations are utilizing it to make some kind of decisions. That's why, like, when you go to buy some kind of products, when you select one, you get a lot of recommendations. So data scientists use data to be able to come up with business solutions. For instance, recommending customers on what kind of products they need, detecting fraud in financial institutions. Such kind of things are what data scientists are.
So it's your studying, observing, learning the data,
Yes.
and then making recommendations from that to
Yes.
improve the services or the products of a
Yeah.
particular company.
Yes, and using, of course, some specific tools or technology to assist you in doing such.
Yeah. And I think that's fascinating because we can all agree that you can be having a conversation on perhaps milk.
Yes.
And then you go online and you get just suggestions of
Yes.
different brands of milk.
Yes.
Which is fascinating because it's based on the data that
Data.
you've input into the softwares.
Yes.
So when did you start? You've just mentioned you've been running for about 4 years.
Yeah.
So this ties it to maybe 2020. That's when the African Center for Data Science and Analytics was founded.
Yes.
And why 2020?
So 2020, yes, it is a dream that I had, but it was an opportune time. And because of COVID, because 2020 we were confined. Like we had minimal movements. So I found myself that in the year 2020, I could not cope with that aspect of being idle. So that's why I took this initiative with I have other co-founders. I reached to my colleagues and we were able to come up with this idea and say that this is the time that we need to start. And in that 2020 as well, we did, after the incorporation, which was 29th June, we just celebrated our 4 years anniversary.
Yeah, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so
That's
much.
amazing.
Yeah. So we did a lot of pilots the whole of 2020. Then after that, from 2021, we went to the market full force. Yes.
And talk to us about that journey, because I know starting, particularly in that time, must have been very, very challenging.
Yes.
So what's been keeping you going? And now it's been 4 years. Talk to us about that journey. What have you experienced so far?
So I can say that this journey has been a journey of patience and a lot of resilience. And what has kept us moving is the vision, what we want to achieve as an organization. We have a vision. Yes, you see, the beauty about having a vision, you can have a lot of competition, but as a company, you need to know what you want to achieve. And this vision is as a result of we found out that a lot of people, both fresh graduates and employees, had a lot of mismatch in terms of skills, and also there was need for upskilling. So along the way, yes, when we started, we did not have a lot of resources, but you see, the resources is not just about the financial resources, it's even about the human capital. Yeah. So we came together as young people. We said, this one is good in marketing, this one is good in management, this one is good in the technical, and we are able to combine all our efforts together. We went about 2 years without getting even a pay. Whatever we got, little we were using to build the company. So it has been a challenging but a fulfilling journey, if I can say, to date.
That's interesting. I think that's a story of resilience as well.
Yeah.
Because I know for so many people, at 2 years hatutengenezi pesa. Shut down the company.
Yeah, but nowadays you see what is happening is that this technology, like we have been able to penetrate the African market, even some part of the Caribbean, like we have clients up to Jamaica. So you see, with technology, and when we have people who are passionate, anything or everything is possible. You can do anything.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you're talking about passion a lot, because I can tell you really love what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it even shows. Unajua kuna mtu utaona uone huyu amekasirika.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they need to do what they're doing.
Yes.
And you've also talked about coming together as colleagues. It
Yes.
wasn't just you alone with your skills.
Yeah.
So there's a value when there's a community.
Yes.
Because most people want to start companies by themselves. They want to be known as the founder, the CEO.
Yeah.
But what value did it add as opposed to just the different skills that you all brought to the table? What else did it help with?
So the value that we got, like when we came together as a team, we are basically 5 of us, young people. And the value that we got is that first, we did not have the capital. Because when we are talking about business, everyone will tell you that I don't have the money. But you see the value here is that you are able as well as an entrepreneur to get free labor. And these are people that you have agreed that you are going to get shares. So there's that belief that you are going to work with no pay and build this company. And at one point, we are certain that we will be able to get some kind of reward.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most value that, or fundamental value that we got when we came together as a team who understand each other, our aspirations, and what we need to achieve as a young people. Yeah.
Now I think on that note, there's so many people who aspire to start their own businesses, because these days people actually do it and they start from online because it's become easier to start businesses even without as much capital, the way you're saying, because that's usually the issue.
Yes.
I need to invest a lot to start this business, but now it's become a bit easier. Now, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting the entrepreneurship journey? They are trying to figure it out. Maybe this is the first year, and this year, the way it's been a bit crazy, maybe they're thinking about quitting this particular line of work. What advice would you offer them? So
what I can tell them is that they need to be very patient and resilient and consistent. Because patience and resilience, of course, patience will, like even if, because sometimes you can say that this time I'm going to make my first million, but you get, like you don't meet your targets. So that one means that you need to be patient and resilient. Then consistency comes, you know, like customers are very funny. If you keep on being consistent, like today I'm there, tomorrow I'm there, they'll see that these people are really genuine and are in business. But if you are not consistent, no one will believe in what you are offering as a company. So I advise the entrepreneurs that despite the challenges, just be resilient, be consistent, be passionate on what you are doing as a person. You'll make it. You might not make it today, in 10 years, but as long as you are clear on the vision and what you want to achieve, you will ultimately achieve your goal. Yes.
And I think that's important because it's about the journey, and then you have to look at the end goal.
Yes.
What you hope to achieve at the end of it. It's not just about how much money am I making today in this moment. And that's something we all need to hear. This is a very hard pill to swallow. As much as money, the finances add value, it's not just about that. Now I want to read some of the comments you've shared with us. This is from Facebook. We have Hamaton Shege, who's present from Mwea, Gadigiri, Asanti. Musamali Luke Jr. is watching from Kimilili, Bituya, Massive Bungoma County. Asanti. Franklin Ward Judy Akondani pia. Jenkins Mwangi Wakwa Ben is following. The Nanyukian Slaking is tuned in from Nanyuki. Vincent